So I was approached by Rupertsland to do a Michif coloring book with my grade 1s for the students to learn different Michif words, both heritage and northern Michif. And so they had an opportunity to each get a book, and we would go through the presentation together and learn the words, then kind of talk about, we used it in several different manners. So we used it in vocabulary, we used it in conversation, we used it as sort of like a picture word induction model, so they could pull the words out and then they could use the Michif words at the bottom as part of that. And then eventually what we did was we took all those words, and at the time we were learning about just community and belonging within the community. And so the kids went home and they talked to their parents about if they were Cree or Michif or Métis. And then when they came back, we put the words that we had up on the wall, and we kind of did like a community-based project where they could explore themselves and then explore the language. Incorporating family is really huge because it builds connection and familiarity and a sense of self and seeing themselves within their project. For younger kids, it's a lot harder. You know, they come in with their own knowledge and their own understandings, but a lot of the times they don't get those questions asked at home, you know, like, am I Cree, am I Métis, am I Ojibwe? And so this was a really good way to facilitate those conversations. So when they got home, they could say, like, I learned about Michif today. And, you know, their parents would say, oh, well, we're Métis and we speak Cree or we speak Michif. And then they can see themselves and they hold their identity within that project. And then it creates a profound impact. After we had this project, I had a little girl come in with a ribbon skirt, and she was so proud of who she was, and she saw that identity in those projects and in that coloring book, that she came back and she said, like, I'm Métis and my kuka made me this. And so just being able to bring her experiences into the classroom created such a rich environment and a sense of belonging and a sense of identity. It sounds silly, but it started with a coloring book and them getting to know who they were, and then it facilitated and it evolved into a conversation of, you know, like I had said, going home, talking to grandparents, talking to families, and then we took it a step further and we had them send in pictures and send in pieces of their culture and who they were, and we got to see those conversations. We got to see the pride that those kids had coming into the classroom with that very simple coloring book, you know, and bringing those conversations home. I think that's the great thing with resources, and the great thing with these resources that come from these Michif revitalizations is they open such an opportunity for connection and collaboration and an understanding. While the coloring book is nice, if we don't do it with intention and we don't do it with the understanding that there's more to the words, then you've kind of lost the meaning on it. So I think when we use these resources, they're so powerful, but they have to come with the sense of, what's the next piece? How can I make this so much more impactful? One thing I found with teaching grade 1 was kids come in almost like fresh set of eyes, and they see things in a way that maybe us as adults don't always have that opportunity to. And so when we connect their identity to their language, we're giving them almost permission to say, you can be who you want to be, you can be where your family is from, where you are currently, and we're letting them say that you bring something special to this group, to this classroom. Within my classroom, we always had one rule, and it wasn't even a rule, it was just a way of interacting and respecting, and it was Wokotoin. And we built that on the premise that I am not better than you, you are not better than me. We both come with great experiences and knowledge and understanding that, yes, you and I are not related, but we are, in the sense of we are both here for the journey, and we're both here for that learning opportunity. So some of the challenges obviously were the interaction that we would get with families. A lot of what we see with families is, you know, you have different groups of parents who are really active in the classroom, some parents who are active when they need to be, and then some parents who are not as active as we would like them to be. And so we had to be really cognizant of that, and in being aware of it, it was my job as an educator to build those relationships and to build that sense of safety and understanding. And maybe it didn't look in the sense of, you know, sending them home this paper. Maybe I gave them a call And maybe I said, hey, we're doing this. I would love it if, you know, little Johnny gave me something or something you guys do that I can talk about. You know, maybe it was if I saw them at the grocery store, you know, and they said, how is so-and-so doing? I could be like, yeah, we're doing this great project. Do you have something I could add? Like even something really quickly and I can take it down. So it was meeting them where I could. The other part of it was, from a teacher standpoint, we always look at it. How does this meet my outcome? How does this meet my curriculum? How am I approaching my program of studies? But I think sometimes when we get stuck in that shift in that mind approach, we forget that curriculum of studies, yes, while it's there for us to be impactful and to teach, there are parts of the world and parts of learning that are going to supplement and they're going to guide us to those conversations. In grade 1, an outcome is sense of community, family, and home. And while the outcome isn't, you know, complete Michif language, it was those conversations that led us into that ability to achieve those outcomes. And so I think with this program or with this pilot project, it wasn't necessarily like, oh, here's the coloring book, we colored it, we went through the words, you know, we put them up on the wall. We followed this kind of very natural progression of how we could see a project start and the grand total or the grand end of it and how that looks like for our students and for our educators. Like I said, use those resources, but use it in a way that makes the impact and trust that process.